This is Comic Geek Speak episode 1820, Previews, yeah! I'm Adam Murdo.
I'm Ian Levinstein.
I'm Chris Everling.
You loving that long-necked Mexican Fanta with...
Oh, man. My thirst is quenched.
Fantastic.
I'm apologetic I didn't have any of that to offer you at Stone Harbor this weekend, and equally envious I don't have any right now for myself.
Here I am with my my diet vitamin water, which has become... This is like the one flavor that's like super delicious to me when it comes to diets and, electrolytes. It's what plants crave. So it's all good from there. Welcome one and all to the show. And it is previews time. And I'm going to try to get a little bit more regular with the previews happening before the last week of the month by September. But scheduling, it's a bitch. What can I say?
It is true. And I'm sure the folks listening at home understand.
Oh, yes, 100%. Especially as we get out of the summer months where there's, plenty of stuff to do, and we go back into the fall months where there's slightly less stuff to do. And then we'll go ahead and get a little bit more regular with these timed releases, as it were. But a reminder that we are sponsored by you, the listeners. That's right, you, the listeners, over at patreon.com/comicgeekspeak. And we would be nothing without you, friends. We would be nothing without you. That much is true. You guys keep the lights on in the studio and on the internet. And month after month, you give us your $1, and we are super happy for it. So we thank you so much for your continued support of the show.
Hear, hear.
Greatly appreciate it. Exactly. A note to the listeners that this previous weekend before we recorded this was the... usually annual, now hopefully back to annual, Murdo, what do you like calling it? The Stone Harbor Summer Adventure? What?
CGS by the Sea.
CGS by the Sea.
Official name.
Yes. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of sea due to the weather, but there was a lot of high-spirited conversation, I'm sure.
Oh, you bet. Yes, and we played a little bit of DC deck building at Pants's insistence, and we finished off Saturday night with a rousing round of the card game known as Asshole, which is always great fun. It's a good thing to play late at night when people are a couple of sheets to the wind and don't want to think deeply enough to play a strategy game. Just get out a deck of old Pinnacle cards from the handy-dandy Murdo family drink hutch and just have fun in the wee hours.
Rollicking comradeship. Magnificent.
Nice. Well, if I do happen to make it next year, I'll probably bring Joking Hazard with me, which is a game where it's a nice raunchy game by the Side-Eyed and Happiness guys, where your object is to continue a comic strip in the funniest way possible, and whoever gets the funniest card gets the point, and then you move on from there. Very Cards Against Humanity, only comic book style. So, good game for the CGS by the Sea.
Mm-hmm. And I sincerely hope you make it next time, Ian.
That would be nice.
0 for 2 now and inviting you along, or
I know. Yeah, if I get people to not have weddings during that time, then it'll all work out. But I was stuck in Staten Island. I mean, not stuck, but still having a good time with friends and an open bar. So. Also of note, this last week I was on an episode of the Operation Babel podcast. So if you go ahead and find their most recent audio release, or second most recent audio releases, I believe they did put out an episode today. But Tivis Sloan, listener of Comic Geek Speak and of Comic Timing, invited me on the show, and we just talked a little bit of everything. Everything from Loki to Suicide Squad to comics in general, and was on there for a solid hour and a half or so. So I believe that's think it's episode 135, if I remember correctly, but you can find it on the Operation Babel feed. Just go ahead and search for it. And want to hear some off hours Ian at about 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, then that's how you can find that out. So Operation Babel. Find it on your local podcasting app. Levinstein
with no limit. All right.
All right. And I definitely have no limit because now it's previews time and all limits are off the table. All right. As I share the screen now. And here we are. This month's previews catalog number is 395. And a familiar artist graces the cover of previews as they advertise Star Trek The Mirror War, as JK mentioned when he was on the show, that this would be coming soon. And he is gracing it with his mighty artistic hand on covers. So
look at that knife-wielding Riker. Woo!
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Man.
We'll learn more about it when we get to IDW.
JK told us a little while ago, last time he was on the show, that he was sick of painting, but he's darn good at it.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Absolutely the case. And it's DC Connect issue 15, and it is issue 14 of Marvel's previews as they celebrate Amazing Spider-Man number 75 for like the fourth time on their cover. So we'll get to that when the time is right. But we head over to Image as always as I scroll my butt down to it.
Page 40.
Mm-hmm. There we are. Let's just go straight down to page 40, shall we? There we go. Let's see. Fastest way there. Okie dokie. And yes, page 40. Well, we have... For some reason, they decided to also yet again list the Free Comic Book Day stuff, even though Free Comic Book Day already happened on August 14th. I guess considering that this came out at the beginning of the month, they were going to advertise it one more time. But unfortunately, nobody on this call was able to go to Free Comic Book Day. But I'd love to know from the listeners what shops you frequented and what you picked up when you were there, because I love supporting my local comic shop in one way or another, and just was not in the bag this time around. But yes, page 40, Friday, book 1. Chris, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I don't, again, yet another chapter in my ongoing ritual seppuku when it comes to missing certain things. How did I not read this book?
I don't think it was it digital? It says here that it's collected in print for the first time, so maybe it was never published.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Murd. I think it was a digital only.
All right, that explains why I missed it. And that's on me because it's Ed Brubaker and Marcos Martin.
Yep.
Dear God.
Oh,
so yeah. I can't wait to get this and to read it. It's Brubaker tackling almost like a young adult genre here, essentially, based on what I'm reading here. So
yep,
it's a young adult detective hero.
Yeah, it's kind of a riff on Encyclopedia Brown.
Yeah, and look at that art.
Oh, the art, completely stunning as always, as you would expect from Marcos Martin. Beautiful stuff.
Since Brubaker has demonstrated time and again, it can pretty much write any genre. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So stay tuned for our reaction to that.
Yep. I know Brian K. Vaughan has dipped his toes into the YA world a couple of times. We really haven't seen a lot out of Brubaker, so it'd be very interesting to see where that goes. And here we are with another Spawn book launching out of the Spawn universe on page 44, Gunslinger Spawn #1, co-written by Todd McFarlane and Alice Cott, art by Brett Booth, Philip Tan, and Kevin Keane. So very good artists in the stable for this one. And one of the most popular characters in the entire Spawn mythology, contains 3 separate gunslinger stories, each taking a look at his journey through time from the Wild Wild West to the 21st century.
So is Spawn having a bit of a resurgence here in terms of attention and notoriety and so forth?
Pretty much. I mean, it is plain and simple that McFarlane realized that Spawn was still selling and that it was selling actually even better than it had in the past. And considering it's been a consistent run for years now,
Yeah.
and there really haven't been any other Spawn books to tell of other than miniseries, I guess he figured why not, and now he expands the universe a little bit. Curious what that will lead to and whether or not these will sustain themselves. All right, what else we got here in Image?
I was drawn to forgive me, well, actually, the first in the Mark Miller book. I never read Magic Order, the first volume. Have you?
No, I have not. Okay. But it's Mark Miller and Stuart Immonen. Like
that's a hell of a team right there.
Oh my God, the one of the best teams you could possibly have in comics right there. Yep. So
there's that.
On the first one,
I was looking on page 54. Rick Remender, A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, issue 1.
Oh yeah.
So when an unassuming man stumbles upon a dark web contract assassin's vicious plot to kill an innocent target, he turns himself into one. The professional meets Road to Perdition. Wow, that's quite a combination.
I think it's very obvious to me that they're drawing Benedict Wong here, and I'm wondering if that means that we may get a TV series out of this or a movie series out of this starring Benedict Wong at some point. But page 54, if you want to see if perhaps I'm stretching a little bit, but it looks pretty much like him to me.
The following page, on page 56, I mentioned before I read the first 2 issues of Two Moons, loved it. I'm waiting for the trade for that first arc, but I'm pleased to see it's continuing into a second arc.
Yes.
So, I mean, must have done enough that they can continue. The artwork in it is absolutely breathtaking. Riveting story. The first 2 issues I read, so I'm looking forward to getting the trade, which I believe I already ordered. So I'll talk more about that down the road too. But look at that cover. Oh, absolutely stunning.
Beautiful stuff. And this is a brand new story arc as well. Once again on page 56. We've reached in these deluxe Walking Dead, re-releases in color. We have reached the very famous "We Are the Walking Dead" moment here, as the cover very much wants us to know on the Walking Dead Deluxe number 24. So anybody who has been reading these or looking to dip their toe into Walking Dead for the first time or for the second time or for the third time, that would be available for you on page 57. And page 58 is fascinating. The Essential Guide to Comic Book Lettering by Nate Picos. So if you've ever had an inkling or a fascination into just how those letters get on the page, and that is one of the most important parts of comics, because however you letter that determines how a comic book is read, plain and simply. And a forward by
one of the great all-time letterers, Tom Warzakowski.
Very true. Very true. Page 58 for that one.
He was supposed to be X-Men for many years.
Mm-hmm. All right. I always have problems pronouncing the name, but I believe it's Stefan Sijic. Fine Print Volume 1, an original graphic novel. How do you deal with a broken heart? Junk food, excessive drinking, dubious contracts with ancient gods? For Lauren Thomas, the queen of bad decisions, the answer is always the worst possible choice. So when she finds herself with the rare opportunity to have her broken heart patched by the highest rated god of desire, what could possibly go wrong? And this is a original graphic novel, so straight to collections with this series. And that's solicited on page 60 with preview art on page 61 that looks absolutely stunning.
Sure does. And again, I'm wondering if we're going to see more and more of this approach to comics going forward.
Very good point.
When you're ready to go to 64 and 65, just let me know.
So I am just about ready, except for the fact that I will point out that this is a compendium of Outcast by Robert Kirkman and Paul Azaceta on page 63.
I've never read this book. Have you?
I have not, but I remember when it came out, and it had very, very high regard, and I believe they made a TV series out of it at one point. That I'm not sure if it ever got past the first season, but it was on TV one way or another, if I'm remembering correctly. But this is all 48 issues right here. So if anybody who wanted to check it out, I mean, you're going to get a giant compendium of it here in trade paperback form, so not even in hardcover. If you want to read the whole damn thing, there it is, page 63.
So this is exciting on page 64, the complete Paper Girls, because I read Paper Girls, loved it, and then I was cutting back on books, and I stopped reading it, even though it's on. And I said, when the series is over, I'll read it. And it's over, and I'm going to be definitely ordering this, and I heavily anticipating enjoying it to the fullest, based on what I read initially.
Soon to be an Amazon TV series.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
I had Cliff Chang come to my store one year during one FCBD sale, and he such a gentleman, great sketches, wonderful.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk a little more about Mr. Chang when we get to the DC section.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. And yeah, Paper Girls, I've read the first 3 of, and I have everything but I think the last 2 volumes in trade. And I'll have to correct that at some point and just collect the rest and then read the rest. But on the very next page,
okay,
this may be a good sign. This may be a good sign.
To me, this is akin to, I'm in the desert, and the caravan, we've lost people. People have wandered off screaming into the sun, thinking there was an oasis. There was nothing. We never saw them again. And our camels are running low, and we're down. And then we see a way station. And, the old grizzled keeper of the station comes out, gives us water, and they tell us, look, if you keep going that way, eventually your heart's desire is there, out over the horizon. And you can just barely see it. Just keep going. And then he goes back into his cabin and leaves us. We have supplies, we have victuals, we can keep moving. This nourishes me, this advertisement.
Thank you, Krisherazad.
Because here Vaughn is saying, thank you for the undying patience. He's speaking to retailers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we promise that exciting news is coming. And until that news is coming, they want to encourage people to get all the Saga trades now produced a slipcase, volumes 1 through 9. Ian, I can see over the horizon.
We're getting there. We're getting there, brother. We are getting there. And frankly, I'm guessing this is the August previews for solicitation in October.
Yeah.
I'm betting by the October previews or possibly the November previews, because the November previews will put us in the next year.
Yep.
That's where I'll roll. Yeah. November previews with solicitation.
You heard it here, folks.
For January 2022, we will probably see the continuation of Saga. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But at least I tried.
Levenstein has given his prediction. He's a prescient man, a man of deep feeling and wisdom. And I have faith more than ever before.
When the announcement comes, do you think it's going to be a single issue of Saga be announcing?
That's a good question, Murd. I was wondering that myself, actually.
Murd, yeah. I would not be surprised if it's either an OGN or if it's just a collection of like the next 6 issues.
Right, like a complete volume 10.
Exactly. Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. However, I think it might just be as simple as an OGN to get us back into it, and then single issues after that. Just because it's always sold very well as single issues, and there's always been some excellent back material that's never been recollected outside of the hardcovers. So they could go either way with it. I'm curious where it's going to wind up. Okay.
What else for him is, gentlemen?
Anything in the trade department for you, Murd?
Doesn't look like it, Ian.
Okay, I'll just point out very quickly on page 70. Now that I have volume 1 digitally, I will eventually be caught up to volume 2, but they are soliciting issues 8 through 13 collected as volume 2, The City Upon a Hill, for the Department of Truth, James Tinian IV's Department of Truth. Yeah, looking forward to it. Page 70. And with that, onward to IDW, I'm thinking.
Isn't Dark Horse?
Oh, no, Dark Horse. Yes, you're right. I'm being ahead of myself as usual. There we are. And Dark Horse starts us off with some more Mike Mignola, Hellboy, the Silver Lantern Club, number 1 of 5. Mignola on the writing, along with Chris Robertson and Christopher Mitten, and Ben Stenbeck and Michelle Madsen are with the art and the and one of the covers as well for this, as we get some more adventures in the Hellboy universe here, as a Silver Lantern Club member, Simon Bruttenholm, relates a tale from the dawn of radio in which Sir Edward Grey and Sarah Jewell go toe-to-toe with technology.
Sounds like a fun period adventure to me.
Yes, indeed.
For the record, Ian, in defiance of all sense, Bruttenholm is actually pronounced Broom.
Really?
I don't know how we get there, but I think that's how they did it in the movie. So
okay. All right, Simon Broom then somehow. So yes, thank you for the correction there, Murd.
My pleasure. Someone else did it for me some time ago.
There you go.
He's paying it forward, folks. He's paying it forward.
Exactly.
Page 96 for that one, with some artwork on the very next page. What say we for the rest of this? Aubrey Sitterson, actually. Page 100. Aubrey's got a new miniseries, No One Left to Fight 2, a sequel to No One Left to Fight, shockingly. And this one picks back up in that world, and they do have No One Left to Fight Volume 1 also available for anybody who does want to catch up. So this is a 5-issue miniseries, and again, the original is available as well for just $20 on page 100.
We talked about May's book in our last recording. We're looking forward to the first issue of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, issue 2 on page 102.
Let me tell you, I just read the last issue of Black Hammer Reborn that I got. I think it was 2 or maybe 3. I don't remember exactly, but the book is tremendous. It's really exploring the consequences of the new Black Hammer's life and what it does to her as she's older. And it's so there's no better superhero book on the stands, man.
Oh yeah, yep.
Has anybody read this yet? Mass Universe? Not yet.
I was actually waiting for the collection. Haven't watched the series yet either, for that matter. But I will get around to it. And they just put out the trailer for that CG version of Masters of the Universe that I was mentioning, which is more of a traditional He-Man series from the looks of it.
So they're doing 2 He-Man series simultaneously.
Indeed.
All right.
Much, yeah. And the CG one that Ian just mentioned, I believe that's the one that Julie Benson and Shauna Benson worked on.
You are correct.
Who just celebrated their birthday the day before we recorded this.
Oh, happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Pants and I and Stone Harbor actually recorded a special little birthday message for them. So
nice.
Their own private little CGS episode.
And they got to go see Hamilton also. Yep. Good for them. They did not throw away their shot.
Oh, Ian. Good reference.
Thank you.
Ian, I thought you want to talk about this book.
Yeah, the Orville #1 Artifacts. The Orville is still scheduled to be coming back, I believe, in January, finally. And it's still going to be a Hulu exclusive. I certainly hope that it's not the last season, because it's still one of my favorite Star Trek send-offs that I've had. I mean, it is its own thing, but in many ways it does feel like old school Trek with a bit of more biting humor. And this is David A. Goodman on writing, with David Cabeza on the art and cover. And just a 2-issue miniseries, nice and simple, about when Ed bumps into an old astroarchaeology teacher. The professor asks for assistance in the pursuit of the lost fleet of the Zancon, whose system-spanning empire rose and fell millions of years ago, according to legend. However, doing so, taking the Orville into a system so hazardous, no ship has ever successfully navigated it. Somehow I think they're going to make it out, but I could be wrong. That's on page 108. And
you've always spoken very highly of the series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love it, which is why, I'm very much looking forward to season 3. Season 2 was a step beyond of season 1, and I enjoyed season 1. But it's some good old-school sci-fi fun, really. Very next generation with a little bit of a McFarlane bite.
Anything else for Dark Horse, gentlemen?
A lot of stuff in mid-issue.
Yeah.
So hard to get back.
Oh, go to right there, Grendel Devil's Odyssey. So
there you go.
I was thrilled when Matt Wagner returned to this Grendel Prime character, sort of like the last Grendel, so to speak, in the future of that epic tale. And here he's having that character go off into space to try to find new worlds that the people of Earth can inhabit. So I read the first few issues. I think it was delayed because of the pandemic, I don't remember what, but I never finished it. So I was looking forward to the hardcover. If you're a fan of Wagner's Grendel, from what I read initially, he still has it. I highly recommend this. I'm looking forward to finishing it.
Grendel's a hole in my reading. I've never read any Grendel, but always heard very positive things about it.
I can't recommend it enough.
Mm-hmm. And just to quickly point out here, these Witcher figures that are being solicited, they are pitch perfect. They look really, really much like the actors and actresses playing them. Very, very good job here on page 117.
Have you watched this show?
It's on the list, but I've seen some good praise of it, and it's Henry Cavill, so I'm bound to enjoy it. Even if I didn't like the Superman movies, I've never disliked Henry Cavill himself. I think he's an excellent actor.
I agree.
Yeah.
He is not what is wrong with those movies.
Very much so. Yep. On to Dark Horse. Sorry, DC. DC can I
saw Star Trek. You titillated. Okay.
I know. We'll get there. Hold that thought. Exactly. Hold that thought.
For the first time this month, DCBS subscribers are able to get a paper copy of DC Connect with their previews.
How about that? Okay. Very good. We begin with Batman the Imposter on page 1.
Which I cannot help but read as Batman the Imposter. I suppress a violent twitch as I see that spelling of that word. And I know language changes and evolves with usage over the years. And there are divergent and non-standard spellings and usages that I can allow myself to accept and to tolerate. But there's that group, and then there's also others that simply make me thirst for the blood of any who dare to perpetuate them. And this would fall into the latter group, my friends. Imposter should never contain the letter E. And that is your Murd hot take on that subject. It just makes me 95% less likely to support this project, whatever it is, whoever's creating it, whatever characters are involved. It's got a grievously... people are going to jump on my back if I call it wrong, but in my head, it's exactly what it is. Misspelling of this blasted word. So, yeah, sorry.
So that you feel the way about this, the way I felt about DC's branding of certain books over the last few months, and how they needed better fonts. So yes, I feel you, Murd. I feel you.
Yes, it's the typographer's twitch. It's infected us both, apparently.
Murd has drawn a line in the sand. Let me tell you, when he does that, don't try to cross it.
Nope. Well. Anyway, Batman the Imposter #1. Bruce Wayne's mission as the Batman has only been underway for a year or so, but he can tell he's making a difference. Unfortunately, he's made some powerful enemies. All the traditional power brokers of Gotham resent the disruption the Batman has brought to town, and it seems one of them has a plan to neutralize him. There's a second Batman haunting Gotham's rooftops and alleys, and this one has no qualms about murdering criminals live and on tape. Now, this is written by the director and screenwriter, Mattson Tomlin. And he's teamed up with Eisner-winning suspense and horror artist Andrea Sorrentino. He's a terrific artist.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a whole new version of Gotham City, informed by grim reality where every punch leaves a broken bone and every action has consequence. I think I'm in on this. This actually sounds really, really cool, and the artwork is beyond stunning.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I can take nothing away from Sorrentino. I respect his work as much as you do, but it's one questionable spelling choice I just can't overlook. Saves me $6.99 issues.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe by the time it gets collected as trade, it'll be Imposter. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Uh-huh. All right. Meanwhile, Arkham City, The Order of the World on page 4. Dan Waters and pencils by Danny. And this is spitting out of the Fear State at Infinite Frontier. Very stricken by the cover here. Very novel-esque. Not even just comic book, but very novel-esque. And this is stemming out of the Joker's attack on Arkham Asylum. And this is meeting these Arkhamites, a woman with no face, a piggy in search of perfection, a man who feels nothing and burns everything, a woman who must devour life to save herself, a man unfit for the waking world who looks instead for Wonderland, a body with more than one soul, a being unbound from time who lives in the present and the past, a boy who seeks the comfort of vermin, and a twisted man who sees them all for who they are, and witness the avenging angel who stalks them. So the villain's take in this series, and it sounds damn intriguing. I'll tell you what.
It's a great cover.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a little easier to identify some of the villains being described there than others, but it seems like an interesting mix.
Part of me wonders if the boy who seeks the comfort of vermin is a version of Ratcatcher.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what else we got here? Oh, and yet again, I must point out, the Nightwing covers continue to be amazing. Every single cover is just as good as the last. Page 6, Nightwing number 85. We're up to issue 85 of this new run of Nightwing, and yeah, can't get better. Cannot get better.
Are the stories as good as the covers? I haven't read this series.
I've been hearing very positive things.
Yeah?
It's just it's on my DC Universe to read pile, so I'll get to it when I get to it. But yeah, this one itself is a tie-in, so to Fear State. But then again, a lot of things are a tie-in to Fear State this month.
Yeah, like a third of the catalog.
Indeed. Look at this Batwoman cover by Colleen Duran here for Batman Urban Legends number 8. Beautiful stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Page 9. Task Force Z, number 1. Happy Halloween, gentlemen. Matthew Rosenberg on story, pencils by Eddie Barrows. That's a good combo there. Task Force X saw villains working their way to freedom. Task Force Z will see dead villains working for a new chance at life. That sounds pretty cool. And it's got the Red Hood in it. We got Bane, Man-Bat, the Arkham Knight, Sundowner, Mr. Bloom, and Red Hood. Task Force Z, and death was just the beginning.
So Man-Bat's dead, huh?
Apparently. Bane's dead. That's news to me, because I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, apparently there was a bombing at Arkham Asylum, and bunch of the inmates / patients bought the farm.
Fair. I somehow have a feeling Bane will be one of the ones that gets his life back, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, Kirk Langstrom seems like a likely candidate for that too. The others,
I mean, they could always just do the tried and true. There's a new Man-Bat, and he's better than the last one. You know, like they did.
The all new, all different Man-Bat.
All deadly.
Yeah, but if they try to do an all new, all different Bane, that's just not going to work. I'm sorry.
He'll be a Mexican wrestler this time.
Oh, no. Like the designs, though, here on the page. Yep. And your favorite thing, Chris? Okay, maybe not. Batman Fortnite one-shot. Okay, great. But hey, story by Scott Snyder, Christos Gage, and Donald Mustard, with pencils and inks by Joshua Hickson. So all right, they got Snyder involved. Like, come on, it's at least bound to be interesting. I'm just not going to buy it.
Yeah, these Fortnite tie-ins DC's been doing have been selling massively well, apparently. If the testimony of Scott Fosnot at Golden Eagle is any indication, he says they sell out before he can get them. And people call him, pester him about them for weeks afterwards.
But what's next is far more important.
Oh, yes. This is
Page 12, baby. Batman The Long Halloween Special. They're back. 25 years later. Loeb and Sale bring us another story in the Long Halloween saga. In, baby. Beautiful. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And Sale has not missed a beat. Look at that Batman.
Look at the variant covers, though.
Oh, yeah.
So dynamic.
Absolutely.
So I wonder who did the colors for those are some rich oranges.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't list the colorists usually in the solicitations for DC, or else I'd tell you. But yes, 100% agreed. I wonder if that's Sale coloring himself or if that's someone else. Very good. And the corresponding black and white pages on the next page. Yeah, he hasn't missed a beat. Beautiful. And here we are, as previously mentioned.
Wow.
Cliff Chiang on story and art. Catwoman Lonely City. This looks beautiful on page 14.
That cover with all the different historic versions of her costume from comics and other media. And it looks like this is kind of an Elseworld story because it's a future in which Batman and the Joker, Nightwing, and Commissioner Gordon are all dead. And Catwoman gets out of a stint in prison to find that Gotham is a safer but bleaker place thanks to Mayor Harvey Dent and his fascist rule enforced by Bat Cops. Okay, so she jumps back into the fray, determined to break into the Batcave and find some secrets there. And so she's going to be reintroducing trouble to Gotham City in a future without the Bat. It sounds an interesting vehicle, both for the character and for the talents of Mr. Chiang. So yeah, I'm on board for this one.
Absolutely.
I like how Black Label has essentially revived Elseworlds as a concept, because a lot of the stuff that's coming out of Black Label that isn't what would have been published by Vertigo is standing stories that can just stand on their own and be their own universe. So really digging that concept.
It's a very good point.
And the artwork on the next few pages, I've loved Cliff Chiang for years. His stuff that he did on Green Arrow and Black Canary was terrific back in the day.
And look at how he captures Selena Kyle aging.
Yes.
Like on the left-hand side where she's closing her eyes, it looks like she's in prison. Like she's older. It's beautiful artwork.
And realistic aging at that. Yeah. Like it doesn't look forced in any way.
No.
Good stuff. And of course, once again, happy Halloween, gentlemen. Page 16. James Tinian IV and Matthew Rosenberg. Pencils by Otto Schmidt. DC versus Vampires, #1. In the tradition of Deceased, now it's vampires. Enough said. Do I even have to read the solicitation? I don't. No. It's vampires and and DC. Read it if you want. It's there for you. Love it. But then,
I missed this.
Page 17. This was teased initially on Facebook by Tom. And it was originally teased just with this part of the image. Before he told us it was Human Target, this part of the image here on the left-hand side was all people saw. And immediately people were like, you're doing JLI? You're doing JLI? And they're going to be in it. Human Target. Story by Tom King. Pencils and inks by Greg Smallwood.
Tom King is born to do the Human Target.
Oh God, yes.
To read this.
Yeah. And it's been quite some time since we've gotten Chris Chance back in comics.
Yep. I think it was it Peter Milligan who did the
Yes.
Human Target, which was excellent many years ago. It was a superb series.
And the TV series, although it went off the rails after a while, I really did enjoy the first season of that TV series.
I never saw it. It had 2 seasons, did it not?
Yes, the second
Okay.
season was not so good, but
Okay.
the first season was good. And the character was then introduced, or a version of the character was introduced in Arrow at one point, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
Yeah. So, yeah, Tom King, Greg Smallwood, and it's just solicited as book 1. So, yeah, it's going to be a nice long series. I mean, a nice long first book here.
it says 1 of 12
series. Yep. So,
see, I said in a previous episode I was gonna do Tom King and trade now, but I don't think I can wait with this one.
I
may-
feel the same way, Chris.
yeah, I may honestly pick this up first issue just so we could talk about it on a comic talk and see how it rolls. And then from there, I'll probably wait until the rest of it's collected. But yeah, good stuff. What is this here? Aquaman Green Arrow Deep Target on page 18. Brandon Thomas and Ronan Clickett. Celebrating the 80th anniversary of both of them, Aquaman and Green Arrow. They team up in a 7-issue miniseries about the Scorpio organization that's resurfaced. And Green Arrow and Aquaman are out to stop them in their tracks. And even Aquaman is in on the beard game. I guess he couldn't be outdone. Page 18. And then this is actually an audio adventure that's going to serve as a prequel to the upcoming Batman movie on page 19. Being collected as a podcast, and then they're also releasing it in, I guess, how is their means of releasing this? I assume probably CDs or maybe a USB stick or what have you. It's a good question.
Well, the solicitation says that it's a scripted podcast featured on HBO Max.
Right.
So I guess that's where you can find that. And this is a comic book prequel to that.
Got it.
And written by Bobby Moynihan is one of the writers. So
oh wow!
He must be part of the cast.
Okay, that's awesome. Actually, yeah.
When does the movie due out?
Movies due out. Let's see when that Batman movie is. Just called The Batman, right? Let's see, 2022. Set for release at the moment on March 4th of 2022.
All right.
Love that Radio Days variant cover.
Me too. And I love what's on the very next page. A 100-page super spectacular celebrating the 80th anniversary of Wonder Woman.
Look at that roll call of glory in terms of creators.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, Becky Cloonan, Michael Conrad, Jordi Belair, Mark Waid, Tom King, Steve Orlando, G. Will Wilson, Amy Reeder, and a ton more. Art by Jim Chung, Paulina Gonchal, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Amy Reeder, Evan Doc Shaner. Oh my God, yeah, this is going to be great. And I love the cover. Women unite and men unite. All for Wonder Woman. Page 20. Congrats on 80 years. And there's a variant by Bruce Timm that's very tempted to get.
And more prestige celebration of the Wonder Woman anniversary on the next page, page 22. 3-issue Prestige Plus miniseries, 72 pages per issue. Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons. And this is written by Kelly Sue DeConnick with pencil and ink art by Phil Jimenez.
Wow.
In, baby.
Yep, you don't find too many Wonder Woman fans bigger than he.
Look at that.
Oh my God.
This is another retelling of the ancient mythological history of the Society of Amazons of Themyscira.
My
Going
God.
all the way back to
Art is stunning. Huh.
Oh, yes, that would be Hera there, surrounded by all those peacocks and looking ominous. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nobody does it like Phil Jimenez.
Nobody does it better.
And then we get a Nubia story on the very next page as part of the celebration as well. Vita Ayala and Stephanie Williams with pencils by Aletha Martinez on page 24. Spitting out of Infinite Frontier, Nubia becomes the Queen of Themyscira. But the new title also brings challenges. Unexpected arrival of new Amazons, our hero is forced to reckon with her past and forge a new path forward for her sisters. Welcome Nubia back to DC Comics, and a very important role for her. Page 24. Then young Diana on the very next page for the kiddies by Jordi Belair. All the Wonder Woman you can fit under a hat.
Oh, that's a Rucka book.
Yes, it is on page 26.
It looks like it's a free preview edition of an upcoming Rucka written Liam Sharp drawn story arc.
Yep.
Rucka did a magnificent run on Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
back in the 2000s, it was superb. He really explored her role as trying to be an ambassador to the outside world. She really went, it's Ruckus. He really went like the politics of that. It was so well done. So sign me up for this.
All right. It looks like it's going to be a graphic novel. I'm not sure when it's going to be released, but you can you go into your comic shop on Wonder Woman Day, you can get a free pamphlet-sized preview.
My favorite part of this solicitation: why has the lasso of truth stopped working? That's
because we're in a post-truth society.
Yes.
Leave it to Rucka.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah, I so much Wonder Woman stuff to tackle, and I love seeing that to celebrate her. A story for the kids on page 28. Refrigerator full of heads, #1. I mean, really, just once again, I don't even have to read the solicitation because it just tells you exactly what it is right there on page 28. Rio Yours and Tom Fowler on the artwork. Love Tom Fowler. This crime novelist Rio Yours joins forces with Tom Fowler to unleash a gonzo grindhouse expansion of the lore of the original basket full of heads. Refrigerator full of heads. So many heads, you need the refrigerator.
Oh God, I missed you. I missed you, Levy.
And then, of course, DC Horror presents Soul Plumber on page 29.
John McCrae, the great Hitman artist.
Yes. And you can tell too, because that is old school McCrae right there.
Yep.
All right, what else we got? Oh yeah, now we're on the solicitations that matter less. So now it's time to just barrel right through them, and that's about it.
I kind of hate that we have to wait until we get to page 30 and the less significant solicitations before we see the first mention of Superman.
Yes.
But there it is, upper left, Action Comics number 1036, little postage stamp-sized note here. After a miniseries by Grant Morrison teaming Superman and the Authority, we get the same team up in what passes for current continuity. In the Warworld saga, apparently Superman is teaming up with the Authority to go after the current bearer of the Mongol dynasty and his mobile battle station / arena / doomsday weapon, Warworld. It's being billed as the biggest Superman event since the death and return of Superman. I'll believe it when I see it.
And on that same page as well, Batman 89 #3. Cannot wait to read this series, and had to mention it again because as the fire rages at Royal Auto, Harvey Dent lies trapped inside, unconscious and in danger. Can Bruce Wayne get to Harvey in time, or will the district attorney leave burned in more ways than one? I think he's going to leave burned personally, but
and he's rendered as Billy D. Williams in this series, right?
You got it. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on the next page, page 31, we get the solicitation for Blue and Gold #4. Bros over heroes, no more.
First issue was so good.
Yeah, it was great. It's so much fun. Okay. Deathstroke Inc. on page 32.
We talked about the first issue last month.
Yep. Deathstroke in space. Okay. We're really gonna have to catch up on Justice League at some point. But every time I see it, it looks interesting. I just haven't gotten to it since that first issue I read. Page 33.
Leveroo, you're only one man with so much time on your hands.
Ain't that the truth, my friend? Ain't that the truth? The Suicide Squad King Shark miniseries continues, as everybody needed and asked for on page what's the page number? Page 35 on that one. Yep. Again, it's Tim Seeley and Scott Collins, and this is the second issue of 6. What a team! What a team!
Yep, it's kind of an arena-style battle between King Shark's part of a series of god games between himself and a bunch of other animal avatars. So in this issue, it's King Shark versus Prince Nematode.
And now that I'm looking at the rest of this page, this is just like the perfect page, honestly, because Suicide Squad number 8, not only does Connell continue to be a member of the cast, but Ambush Bug in Suicide Squad. Why? I don't know, but he's there.
You really need to ask.
Exactly. And then Superman 78 number 3 also on that page. Vendetti and Wilfredo Torres continuing the saga of the Christopher Reeve Superman. Anything else in the single issue game, gents?
I'm good myself.
Murd?
Same here.
Okie dokie. Onward to trades. And a trade that I honestly didn't expect to see solicited on page 38, because I swore that that this would just stay out of print. And yet here we are with an omnibus of the Turtles Batman I guess team up is the best way to put it. James Tinney in the 4th and Freddie E. Williams the 2nd, and cover by Kevin Eastman on this one, as it collects up with a whole bunch of never before seen, behind the scenes matter. This collects all 3 Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover miniseries, and if you haven't had a chance, there's an episode of Raging Bullets. I haven't gotten to it yet myself, but I know it exists and it's out there. That aired a couple of weeks ago, where Sean and Jim had Freddie E. Williams on to talk about the Masters of the Universe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles miniseries that never came out.
Oh wow! Huh.
And he was the one behind it. He was the one who was going to do the artwork for it, and he'd been releasing over the past couple of weeks a whole bunch of like concept sketches of what it would have been like. But unfortunately, the rights fell through and didn't wind up happening before that actually managed to happen. And yeah, I'd love to learn more about it on that episode. So track it down in the Raging Bullets feed. It's from a couple of weeks back.
Murd, I got to point out in the copy for Batman Dark Detective Volume 6, they misspelled imposter there again. They have the modern spelling.
Yes.
Just to get your blood boiling.
Irritatingly common, Chris. So much so that it is an acknowledged, variant spelling. It's listed in a lot of dictionaries and word banks, but not this word bank. So it's
Superb.
Nice.
Yeah, the general consensus is that OR is more right, but ER is not wrong. But again, I beg to differ.
Fair enough. I will point out, since we did mention it, Superman and the Authority is solicited in full on page 39 as well. So Morrison and Janin's alternate reality Superman and the Authority is there for you. Another future story. Sort of. Since he started in the 60s. So I think it's probably present day. Look at this cover to Truth and Justice on page 40. Wowzers.
Yep.
Doug Braithwaite. Man. In fact,
I'm in the Silver Age Omnibus Volume 1 next to it.
Yep. And that's just about it, gents. And for after the giant ad for the movie that already came out, let's go ahead and head over to previews once again. And let's talk Star Trek, shall we?
Oh, look at this.
Page 124, IDW, David and Scott Tipton, art by Gavin Smith. Amazing painted covers, as previously stated by J.K. Woodward, as we return to the mirror universe of the next generation with this brand new series.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, they did a Next Generation Mirror Universe story. It was superb. Shane and I were raving about it. I'm unfortunately remember the title, but forgive me. But really excited for this.
Yes, indeed. Yep. And JK designed all of these, mirror Next Generation uniforms and what have you, and their general looks. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, what's going to happen next in this. And they also have more mirror stuff as well, or at least with these excellent, covers that are shown here. Good stuff. Good stuff, especially that data there. Man, oh man. It's on 125. Page 128, Animal Stories. Writer-artist Peter and Maria Hoey. What separates us from animals? What connects us? Award-winning cartoonist Peter and Maria Hoey probe these mysteries across 6 surreal and interconnected stories. Love the concept and the cover. That's a top shelf out of IDW right there on 128. Anything else in the land of IDW, gents?
Just I go back to that just a great G.I. Joe cover, the Baroness with some old school Cobra Troopers at attention behind her. It's from the ongoing Hama run, which continues the original Marvel series.
Mm-hmm.
It's now, it's through issue 285. Wow.
I know. Yep. Murd, thoughts on My Little Pony Generations?
Well, it's on page 133, and they're not telling us whether it's an entire miniseries or just a one-off, one-shot thing, but apparently it's a crossover between the most recent Friendship is Magic version of the ponies, the one that Big Jim worked on, the one that's been all the rage for the last 10 years, and the very first version of My Little Pony from the 80s. So that could be interesting. That could be fun. That could find its way into my collection. I haven't made up my mind yet.
Trying to remember the name of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover movie that happened a couple of years back between the later generation Turtles and the 80s Turtles. I used to call it Crisis on Infinite Turtles with my friends.
At the top of page 135, I think I'll be grabbing Star Wars Adventures number 11.
Oh, it's Murt's favorite right there, Jabba and Aliens.
Oh, you betcha. Yep, because it's a great cover, and there is actually a backup story that's a tale from Jabba's palace, starring Reeves and the little bullfrog dog thing, Bubo, who is pictured right there in front of Jabba's throne. So, yep, and that's by Antool with art by Nick Brokenshire, and I think I'm going to buy and read that.
Nice. What I was thinking of is Turtles Forever, by the way. That's the name of the animated movie they put out that crossed over the 2000s Turtles with the 80s Turtles. Even had a moment there with the black and white Turtles where they're monologuing like Frank Miller.
Perfect.
The Star Wars Attack of the Clones graphic novel adaptation on page 137. Alessandro Ferrari and Various, giving us a comic book version of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Because we needed that.
I mean, sure. Why not?
Now, speaking of tragically misspelled cover copy, at the bottom of page 139, they're giving us a TMNT collection of the best of Arpel O'Neill.
Oh, wow.
They've got time to address that, of course, but
Murd, you're just taking scalps left and right in this episode. Holy mackerel.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Kicking asses and correcting names.
Some behind the scenes. At one point we had to pulp a whole bunch of strategy guides over at Pokemon because I think somebody left out an O in Pokemon, if I remember correctly. So that's it happens. Hopefully they caught this before press because we got the volume 1 of the Beast Wars comic on page 143. This collects the first 6 issues of that. I remember bringing it up. Eric Burnham and Josh Burcham on the writing and art chores here. Was a huge fan of Beast Wars back in the day, and from the sounds of things, the next Transformers movie will be introducing the Beast Wars characters into live action, or as close to live action as CGI gets, with Ron Perlman as the voice of Optimus Primal.
Oh wow!
Looking forward to that. Yep, it's on page 143, and that takes me out of IDW.
So let's pause here for a second on Vampirella 25. So
sure,
this is the end of Christopher Priest's run.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spoken this program months ago how I read the first trade, loved it. I mean, I knew jack about Vampirella besides the fact that she was an alien created in Warren Publishing in the late 60s, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And Priest being Priest made me care. Like he got me into the world of Vampirella as he sees it. Yep. And I have to get the rest of the trade. So the fact that it's ending is I can just finish the whole series up in trade. But the first trade was fantastic. God, the guy can write anything and make it interesting.
Yep, that's on 149 for Dynamite, and I would be curious to check it out myself because, like you say, Chris, I had no interest in Vampirella up until now. So if it's Priest and it's got your seal of approval, then I'm very, very interested.
Glad to hear it, brother. Yeah, the first trade was wonderful.
And over to Marvel we go, and what a month for Marvel, as we've got some beginnings and we've got some endings. But starting us off, Venom #1, Al frickin' Ewing, with art
Ryan Hitch.
I mean, damn.
Feels like an in to me.
Yeah. And it's Al Ewing and Ram V on the writing combined. An epic new era for the Sinister symbiote starts here. Hot off the heels of Venom 200, we're closing out 2021 with one of the most ambitious books in symbiote history. An all-new Venom from some of comics' greatest talents. And it's as if it wasn't enough, they've been joined by industry legend Brian Hitch. Yeah, they haven't really said anything about this whatsoever, and I'm in. Because like this solicitation basically says, we're bringing great creators onto this. And that's it. Like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, as we've said many times now, if you have faith in a certain creator, I don't really care what they're doing. I'm going to.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
That's it.
That's how I feel right now. Yeah, no, I have to read this. I'm not always a Venom guy. I am a Venom guy for this. You know what else I'm into? Ben frickin' Reilly. Because I'm a 90s kid, whether I like it or not. And I always loved that costume, or at least the version that Jurgens came out with. This is a slightly different one here. And Zeb Wells on writing, Patrick Gleason on art. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful hidden gem variant by Steve Ditko, mind you. Amazing Spider-Man's back to thrice monthly because this story is pure jet fuel. Ben Reilly has returned to NYC and has taken fully back the mantle of Spider-Man. What does this mean for Peter Parker? Greatest team of web writers have come together with the most epic arachnid artists ever assembled to bring you a spider story that will shake up Spider-Man's 59th year in a way you cannot predict. I predict that Peter will be back for the 60th, but that's beside the point.
And Steve Ditko's ghost is currently raging at the use of his work.
Yeah, but I'm in, baby. This, I missed out on a lot of Spencer stuff. I will be ground floor with Beyond. I think this is a great way for me to get back into Spider-Man stuff, and eventually I'll read the Spencer stuff. But the good thing about a new writer is that you can start from the ground floor, and that's where I'm going to go. And we'll definitely be talking on our next comic talk about a certain trailer that got released a couple days ago.
Yes, we sure will.
Take a quick look at the bottom of page 11 there, and that David Aja variant cover for Amazing number 77. Those are the Daughters of the Dragon, total style.
Oh, beautiful.
Good pick, Murd.
That's good, yeah. And Kelly Thompson is writing with Sarah Bocelli on artwork. Man, the teams they've got for this are great teams.
But you know what's really great?
What's great?
Is what's right there.
One last issue. One last issue on its way out. I'm sure it's going to do it in style. Immortal Hulk number 50. The grand-sized finale. Down in the below place, the Hulk searches among the ghosts of the past for the answers to all his questions. The one below all, the Green Door, Samuel Stearns, Jackie McGee, and Bruce Banner. It's all been leading here. This is the final issue of Immortal Hulk.
I just read the penultimate trade because I'm reading the series in trade. Except no substitutes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of the other stuff we're talking about, and then there's that book because that's how good it is.
Absolutely. Yep. And it was announced, by the way, that Jonathan Hickman officially is 100% leaving X-Men after Inferno. But, he looks like he's probably going to be leaving it in good hands. But, well, I'm assuming Inferno's going to provide a way for him to sort of end his take on the characters, right? Yeah, basically. And lead us into whatever's coming next, basically.
Because I want to see if the past few years we've all been talking about how we just don't feel this is going to go anywhere good, what the X-Men have been doing, and I want to see if that's what's going to play out now.
Oh, yeah.
In Inferno.
Yep. Now, the Dark Ages, I forget if issue 1 was solicited last month or not, but this looks interesting. It's been years since the age of technology ended at a single moment, like a switch had been flicked to off for an entire planet. Now Earth's heroes attempting to bring humanity together in the darkness. X-Men and Avengers, vigilantes and villains all work together to create something better. Something darker than the night is descending on this world. Our post-apocalyptic world is going to face apocalypse. That's on page 16 and 17, and I love the characters designs here on page 17. Really digging that. I love all futures too. That's right up my alley. Death of Doctor Strange.
Sure.
Tell us another one, Marvel.
Okay, sure. He's really dying, we swear. Speaking of Inferno, page 20, issue 2 of 4, Hickman and Caselli. Field of Fire. I sure do. And how about this? Black Panther Legends on the following set of pages on page 22. Dive into the legend of the Black Panther in this new origin story by acclaimed author Tochi Onyebuchi and New York Times bestselling illustrator Sator Fiadzebe. Perfect for middle grade readers.
All right.
That sounds excellent. Anything that can get younger readers in the door of comics is A-okay with me.
Here, here. Little Blade action.
Yep. Blade on page 24 because they only put page numbers on every other page, so I have to go back to the previous page to remind myself what page it's on. The Darkhold Blade number 1, Daniel Kibblesmith and Juan Ferreira. The King of Death. Once again, happy Halloween. Always good to see Blade. And whoa, look at this Iron Man armor for Darkhold Iron Man number 1. Ryan North and Guillermo Sana, page 20.
Fun.
And we've got a whole bunch of Latin creators and characters getting together on Marvel's Voices community.
Did I see a white tiger down there?
You do indeed.
All right.
Yep, you sure do. Spider-Man, White Tiger, Ghost Rider, and so many more heroes get their moment in the sun as new and fan favorite creators continue to expand the world outside your window. In Marvel's Voices Comunidades, featuring an introduction by renowned scholar Frederick Luis Aldama, plus an all-new hero takes the stage in a whirlwind adventure you don't want to miss. Very nice. Page 26 and 27. And then, Luke Cage, City of Fire. Luke Cage, he's back. Hochi Anderson on writing, Fareed Karami on the artwork. When a black man is murdered by a police officer in New York City, Luke Cage is called to action. But what does a good man do when protecting the streets puts him at odds with his own people? This sounds like it's going to be heavy stuff.
Yep. Talked about Kazar and Kang last time.
Mm-hmm. Up to issue 3 on Kang the Conqueror. And John Ridley's Black Panther, issue 3 as well, on page 31. Kelly Sue. Kelly Sue DeConnick and G. Willow Wilson on Marvel Tales, Ms. Marvel #1.
Now she's getting a television series too, correct?
She is indeed,
Okay.
yep. And in Ms. Marvel Beyond the Limit, there's another guy with a television series. Loki. Nicely done. Page 33, issue 2 of that one. Then
Kyle Higgins doing Darkhawk.
Yep. 3 of 5.
And have I not mentioned Radiant Black yet this episode? I'll just mention it again. Read it.
Oh, hey. There we go. There's your monthly mention of Radiant Black. Well done. Issue 4 or 5 of Amazing Fantasy, and very positive praise for this in other outlets. I know 11 O'Clock Comics was raving about Amazing Fantasy. So I'll have to check that one out once it's all collected. Eternals Forever. Ralph Macchio. 38. Yep. And Ramon Box on the artwork. The Deviants have captured Icarus. Now under their control, Icarus has been brainwashed into assassinating Ajax. It's up to Gilgamesh and Sprite to stop him and prevent an all-out war between the Eternals and the Deviants.
Covered by one of your favorite artists, Levy Poo.
You got it. Todd Knock. Knock's got a couple covers this month from the looks of things, but yeah. This is nice to see a classic creator like Macchio back on Eternals.
Yep. Great editor, too.
Mm-hmm. Kieran Gillen doing Eternals Celestia as well, page 39. Guess that's spinning out of his other Eternals series.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it's a self-contained issue, just a one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
Here come the 90s, roaring right back at you, Ian.
Oh, yeah. And more of the X-Men Legends arc that Murd's going to skip. Larry Hama and Billy Tan enter Omega Red, the character that was created for the action figure. That's all you really need to say about Omega Red.
I had never even known that, but
Not
I
much
believe
more
it
to
instantly.
say.
Yep. Basically, they created the design, and they're like, wow, this would make an amazing action figure. Oh, right, we have to give him a story. Enough said.
God, he's on trial again.
I mean, yeah, he does bad things. That's
X-Men 200, classic Claremont, John Romita Jr.
Yep.
Trial of Magneto.
Page 41, Leia Williams gets her crack at it. Number 3 of 5. Oh, how about this? The Shi'ar Imperial Guard versus the Legion? Sword number 9.
The all-new Lethal Legion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's an eyebrow raiser.
Where it wasn't Whirlwind in the Lethal Legion?
I think he was.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, he was. Living Laser was.
That's right. Kind of a B-team villain group. If I remember
That's a good
correctly.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Look at this cover for X-Men number 4.
Another happy Halloween.
Oh my God! Yes, the headless horseman Cyclops. Like beautiful, beautiful stuff by Pepe Larraz. That's on page 43, issue 4 of Jerry Duggan's X-Men. And you know, I might be in the minority, but I like bearded Colossus. I think the beard works really nice on him, even if it makes absolutely no sense considering his metal form. But still looks super cool. But then again, he's always had black hair to go along with this. So I guess it's just a even more solid black metal hair on his face.
Mm-hmm.
What's the page number on that one? Page 44, Benjamin Percy's X-Force series.
And also by Benjamin Percy on 45, Wolverine number 17, Maverick is apparently back.
Ah, very good. Maverick, also a character where they did the trading card first. And they gave him a backstory that was not the backstory that he wound up getting in the comics.
Look at you with your 90s X-Men knowledge. Oof.
I know way too much, my friend. I know way too much. But talk about 90s. I love that they're doing these Marvel Masterpiece variants, like the classic Bishop here on page 46, and the Shadow Cat.
I have a complete run of those trading cards somewhere.
Love it. I'm missing all but like 10 of Flare Ultra X-Men 95.
Have you attempted to complete the set or no?
Nah, I don't care enough. Younger me cared, and then like I came so close and was like going to like comic shops and stuff like that at the time to try to fill it, and I'm sure now I could probably do it if I wanted to, but like it's at my mom's and I haven't looked at them in years. I'll probably just sell off what I have at some point. Miles has a new costume, by the way. Page 49, you see a little snippet of it here, but it looks a bit like a cross between Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider outfit and Kane's Scarlet Spider outfit. And now Miles is wearing something.
Hey, there's the real Taskmaster.
Yes, the real one, which we will eventually get in Marvel Cinematic. I guarantee it.
Mm.
It's such a great character concept. Like, they got to do more with that.
I know. Page 49 for that one. And Peter David continues his Symbiote Spider-Man run on the very next page with Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads, number 4 of 5. And
Spider-Man as an Eternal?
I guess so. I mean, it was bound to happen eventually.
He was cosmic powered at one point, so...
Yes, he
Spider
was.
Hulk, Spider Lizard, Man Spider. I mean, why not Spider Eternal?
He was the Phoenix once too.
Oh yeah.
I only remember that because Phoenix song Echo number 1. Straight out of her transformation of the Avengers, Echo gets an exhilarating solo series. So I guess Echo is the Phoenix now.
Murd, wasn't Pants asking us why Echo art was going up in the original art world?
He did. Yeah.
Here's the answer.
At the first appearance of Maya Lopez, and then we determined that she was going to be appearing in some Disney Plus series somewhere along the line.
Hawkeye. She's going to be in Hawkeye.
There you go. Thank you. And apparently she's also Phoenix. I think we're unanimous in not knowing that she was that the upshot of that storyline was that Maya Lopez, alias Echo, was going to end up with the Phoenix Force. But at least it surprised us.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. There's rumors that she may also be getting her own Disney Plus series after her appearance in Hawkeye. And if she does, wouldn't it make sense if a certain blind lawyer shows up in that? I mean, I'm just saying. Was a very familiar tie in a certain trailer, but we'll talk about that later.
God.
Iron Man number 13.
I just read the last month's issue. Let me say this. I can't think of a writer in recent years who has so mastered the voice and inner monologue of Tony Stark as Cantwell does. And Murd, let me make a specification that you'll appreciate. not the Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark, the comic book Tony Stark. This is without a doubt for me one of the best Iron Man arcs of all time. And I've read most of Iron Man's publishing history. This is on a whole nother level.
That is terrific praise, sir. Terrific praise.
Look,
look at all those villains for you there.
I see the fabulous Frogman leaping into action.
Yes, you do.
There's your unicorn.
Yep, and mind you, this is War Machine, Hellcat, Scarlet Spider, Frogman, Gargoyle, Misty Knight, and Halcyon.
And it all works, I can assure you.
And Korvac.
Yep.
Oh my God! Look at the variant, the Marvel Masterpiece variant that they chose.
You're happy,
Captain Marvel. But yes, here we go, baby. Last of the Marvels Part 2. Look who's back. Genusville.
Yep. Couldn't keep him out of reality forever.
Yep. And
I have to reread the Peter David series. It was superb.
Oh, and I really, really hope beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's not the costume he's coming back with, because he deserves better than that costume.
Yes, and he has had better than that.
Oh, he definitely had better costumes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean the perfect one was the first of the Peter David costumes.
Yeah, it's a great costume.
Yeah, I like the later ones, but yeah, that one was just it's perfect.
Yes, and this, if they go with it, it'll just be because the 90s, and then that's not a very good explanation for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll be talking about this movie soon.
Yes, indeed. Initial response from test screenings and world premieres, very, very positive. So
all right, looking forward to it.
Hoping. Yep. But how about this? Is Shang-Chi is Iron Man? Okay. Why not?
Yeah, not that a master of Kung Fu really needs high-tech armor, but they're going to do what they're going to do.
Oh, come now, Murd.
But can we all just master and marvel at page 59's Terry Dodson cover
That's wonderful.
Of a very Halloween Fantastic Four on Yancey Street? I
love how elated Reed is to be participating in the trick-or-treating, by the way.
Yeah, right? And I love more than anything that Ben's idea of trick-or-treating is to just put on a mask. Winter Guard at this point. Oh yeah, here we go. Gamma Flight. Issue 5 of Gamma Flight is teamed to come out at the exact same time as issue 50 of Immortal Hulk. But the revelations of Rick Jones, just again, intrigued.
What a beautiful image for Black Widow number 12.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this series is again very, very, very highly praised, and for good reason.
I have to go to the trade.
Yep. Issue 5 of the United States of Captain America solicited.
Yeah, I have issue 2. I haven't read it yet.
Mm-hmm. And then drop everything. Page 63, Frog Thor's back. Yes.
This is another series I have to get into it. I have not read any of the Donny Cates Thor, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. Well, he just brought Throg back, so he just made me a happy man. Donny Cates and Pasquale Ferry.
This is another where I'm a lifelong Daredevil fan. And I talked about this. We both read the first arc of the Zdarsky series. That's all I've read.
Yep.
And it's getting rave reviews. I mean, the first 6 issues were excellent. So got to catch up here.
And finally, Daredevil, Daredevil sort of, Elektra versus Bullseye. Page 65. Anything in the Star Wars land?
Just that the War of the Bounty Hunters is really fun. Again, the premise is that in between Boba Fett leaving Cloud City with Han and then the rescue mission at Palace that sees in Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett loses Han and he's trying to get him back. And That's all we need to know. It's really fun. It's excellent.
I like that they gave an entire one shot to a
of course
here. Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters IG-88.
Well, especially after Star Turn in
The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Rodney Barnes on writing and Giu Villanova on the artwork.
Leia's going to meet Leia's going to meet is it Kira from the Solo film?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Page 73. Glad they're doing something with that character.
Yeah, because that was such a wonderful tease at what they could have done, and then of course they never went anywhere else with it so far.
Yeah.
In terms of movies or television.
Indeed. All right, over to trades. How about this? Abnett and Tomlinson on page 79, Knights of Pendragon Omnibus. I have not read any of them.
I've never read this either. Murd?
I believe I have I recognize the cover, the Alan Davis second series cover. I have that issue, and only that issue. And I really didn't understand much of any of it when I read it back in 1992, I think. But because it's Marvel UK stuff, so it's kind of its own little world.
Got it. Certainly some excellent creators involved.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep. At the end there, Brian Hitch and Carlos Pacheco.
Some Invaders Omnibus.
Yep, page 81.
Classic Roy Thomas series.
Oh, yeah.
So here we got all of Moon Knight's, like his early appearances in World by Night, Marvel Spotlight. Ian, go back up again. I'm sorry, to the bottom of the copy.
Sure.
Of the advertising copy. I'm sorry. They even have the Hulk magazines appearances he did it when the Hulk had a black and white magazine for a period of time. In the late 70s, early 80s, when Marvel was doing this whole series of black and white magazines. So the Moon Knight appeared in those stores. So that this is very complete. They've got everything. So with that show coming down the pike, when I learn more about Moon Knight, this is a great place to start.
And the creators involved here, I mean, you've Doug Munch, Bill Mantlo, Frank Miller, and then pencils by Keith Giffen, Mike Zack, Jim Mooney, Jim Craig, Bill Sienkiewicz.
Well, the Monk Sienkiewicz Moon Knight stuff in the original first series is excellent.
Yep.
So.
And then they have the Omnibus Volume 2 solicited as well on page 83, which goes into some of his later stuff. Page 85.
What a great book. Oh
yeah. Anybody who hasn't read this, it's been in print and out of print many a time at this point. But Alan Heinberg's epic Young Avengers run, penciled by Jim Chung and Andrea DeVito, plus Alan Davis and a bunch of others. This collects not just Young Avengers 1 through 12, but also the special Children's Crusade.
Children's Crusade.
Terrific. And then the Avengers, Children's Crusade, Young Avengers, and material from Uncanny X-Men number 526.
This is one of the exciting Marvel series of the 2000s.
Agreed.
When it was out, it was.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Terrific stuff.
I'm taking that journey right now, Chris. I just read issue 8 a couple of weeks ago, or actually less than a week ago. And over the weekend, Pants was saying to anyone who would listen that the back issue market has exploded during the pandemic, and Young Avengers number 1 is going for like $1,000.
Oh my God!
What? I have to find my Young Avengers number 1. Oh my God!
Sell it to some sucker as soon as possible.
Seriously, I think that's
God.
Probably at my mom's.
$1,000.
Probably at my mom's somewhere. I'll have to dig through my.
Holy mackerel!
Oh my God! Wow.
Take care of that, Ian.
Jeez Louise. That's crazy.
Get some rent money from that.
Yeah, right?
Jeez.
The first appearance of Kate Bishop is how Pants explains it.
Yes.
Yeah, there'll be the TV bump, and then just.
I mean,
find that issue and speculate quickly. And
and first appearance of like just about half the other people that have showed up in recently that was young. So yeah. Excellent Alex Ross cover for the Incredible Octopus. Yep. Then the Hickman stuff.
Lest we forget, Hickman did a tremendous run on Fantastic Four.
No question about it. This is the Future Foundation stuff on page 89. Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else in the trades?
Double check. I don't. The Star Wars stuff is great, as I've mentioned many times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The Marvels. I'm reading that. That's series. It's wonderful. It's not done yet, but
yep. Well, this is the collection of Volume 1 on page 98. Busiek and Sinar. All right. Well, if that's the case, Murd, any last ones?
Oh, actually, you know what? Go back one. I'm sorry, Ian.
Yeah.
That X-Men from the Ashes.
Yes.
This is a beloved trade that I can have to order this because my copy just vanished years ago. But when Marvel wasn't doing trade paperbacks that frequently yet, as they were accustomed to today, they did Dark Phoenix Saga as a trade, and they did this as a trade. And it's Chris Claremont. Now, Paul Smith, who was an artist I've always adored.
Yes.
If there's a Marvel Masterworks in the previous, some of his classic Doctor Strange work. Murd, what was the series he did about the young girl?
Who are we talking about here?
Paul Smith. I think, did James Robinson write it?
Oh, Leave It to Chance.
Leave It to Chance, which is a delightful series. I love his artwork, and he did a wonderful one on X-Men 168 to 176. Have you read these stories, Ian?
I've read parts of them. I don't know if I've read the entire run, but I think parts of it were in another trade that I happen to have.
This starts the whole Madeline Pryor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff, great stories. Just Claremont again at the peak of his power. So I highly recommend this trade to listeners who maybe not read some classic X-Men.
Excellent. Yeah, I may actually just pick this up just so I have a companion to my Dark Phoenix trade that I've had for years. All right, let's head back over to the previews. We already basically did Dynamite, so we can skip over the rest here.
I did have one other note from Marvel.
Yes.
Maybe you don't need to go back to it for this, but on page 108, the Deadpool Epic Collection. The Circle Chase. This is a collection of a bunch of Deadpool's earliest appearances, from his first appearance in New Mutants number 98, some early X-Force appearances, his first 2 miniseries, and a couple of guest shots in Secret Defenders, Silver Sable, and the Wild Pack et al. Trying to pick up these early Deadpool appearances will cost you a couple of mints if you try to do it in actual issue form.
That's for sure, yep.
Do yourself a favor and just pay $45 and get them all collected in one little volume here. It's Deadpool prehistory, basically.
Oh yeah, yep. Back before he was, the fourth wall breaker, and a lot more just silly. I feel like he was a lot more Spider-Man back then.
All right, so as I mentioned, I have to depart early this evening, but there's a couple things I wanted to shout out, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
I appreciate that. Now, first of all, when I saw this on page 238, there's a spring to my step, steam in my strides, because a quest is in sort of a facsimile version is now coming to an end. Marvel Classic Blacklight posters hardcover.
Yes.
So
beautiful.
12 frameable blacklight posters. So reproductions of the classic early 70s blacklight posters they did in working with Third Eye Incorporated. So it's $125. I'm getting it. And I'm going to frame these babies. I'm really excited that they finally are putting this out. So it's really excited about that. And look next to it, Marvel Value Stamps, a visual history. So listeners may be familiar with the early Bronze Age Marvel comics, circa like 1974, 75. They put in a value stamp in the bullpen bulletins page of each issue. And some people would cut them out. I think Marvel even created like a album for it at one point. You could paste them on. And so if you're a back issue collector, like Hulk 181 is a good example of this. You've got books from that era. You have to make sure the value stamp is there. If it's been cut out, automatically degrades the value of the book. Even the rest of it is pristine. So another great little time capsule of Marvel history.
Very nice.
And another thing I wanted to point out, because again, I have to mention tomorrow's, it's at least to some degree. Forgive me, and let me find the page here. 400.
Okay.
So back issue number 132, 1980s Marvel Limited Series. So Wolverine by Claremont and Miller with the classic. Black Panther, that's probably with the Don McGregor stuff. Falcon, which was Christopher Priest. The Punisher, Machine Man. I think that's that. Machine Man, I think, was Barry Windsor Smith, if I remember correctly. My Beloved Nick Fury versus Shield. Fantastic Four versus X-Men. One of my all-time favorite Marvel miniseries. Maybe we'll spotlight that someday. Great stuff. So that if you're a fan of Marvel, remember the miniseries really became a thing in the 1980s in comics. And Marvel did a bunch of them. So definitely a magazine I'm going to pick up. So again, no one does it better than Tomorrow's when it comes to, returning to the history and the impact of the comics.
Indeed.
All right, fellas, I got to depart.
All righty.
I'm sure what's left of the book will be more than addressed in your capable hands.
But of course.
We'll be as thorough as we possibly can, Chris.
All right, brothers. I'll talk to you both soon.
All right.
Good night, gentlemen. Take care. Ciao.
Good night.
Good night, my friend.
All right, and Murd, for the first time in a few months, it's just you and I for the rest of the book.
That's all right. I feel empowered and eager.
Well, I'll start us off in Boom on page 206 as they're continuing the Legacy edition of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And these are stories written by Fabian Nicieza and Scott Lobdell, illustrated by Cliff Robertson and Paul Lee. Collecting Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 51 through 63, previously published by Dark Horse. This is all early Buffy the Vampire Slayer stuff, long before they went into the season model and long before this relaunch. And I had no idea that Nicieza and Lobdell ever even did Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then, lo and behold, here they be. So if you want to look at some older Buffy comics, you can do so on page 206.
And I surely would if I just cared a little bit more about Buffy.
Well, do you care about James Tynion IV and Tate Bromble? Because they have a brand new series in the world of Something is Killing the Children. On page 208.
You just gotta say it that way.
Oh, yeah. It's hard not to. It's really hard not to. This is illustrated by Werther Deladera and Chris Sheehan. And discover the inner workings of the House of Slaughter in this new horror series exploring the secret history of the order that forged Erica Slaughter into the monster hunter she is today. And just from the looks of the artwork and the designs of this, it's going to be a good one for anybody who's a big fan of horror comics. And Tynion is no slouch as always, and here he is with more in his universe on page 208. They have a whole bunch of Something is Killing the Children trades solicited on 210 as well, if you want to get further into that. And I think that may be it for Boom for me.
No, it definitely is for me.
Yep, not a lot of new stuff out this month. We'll mention in passing on 222, Cullen Bunn's Basilisk is solicited in its first volume here. So if you were waiting on that, first 4 issues of Basilisk are available to you on page 222 in trade paperback form. And then we hit the rest of the book outside of any of that. And let the fun begin on that one. Let's start it off with 235, shall we? Gung Ho, Volume 2. Didn't pick up Volume 1, so I may have to track that down, but this looks like super fun. Combining Archie-style teenager shenanigans and rivalries with a Walking Dead narrative arc is a stroke of genius, Publishers Weekly calls it. This picks up shortly after the events in Short Circuit, which is Volume 1, where at Fort Apache, the situation is more tense than ever, as the threat posed by the Rippers adds to an increasingly difficult life for the colony, which is running out of supplies, heavy weapons, and ammunition. Unique take on the whole, end of the world genre and the zombie genre at that as well. On page 235, Gung Ho Volume 2. This is the hardcover edition, and Benjamin von Eckersberg with Thomas von Kumant on artwork. And Volume 1 is also available if you want to track that down. Page 238, Lifetime Passes by Terry Blauz and Claudia Aguirre. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because it's getting hard to read. In the darkly comedic YA graphic novel, teens bring senior citizens to a theme park to take advantage of strictly protected secret. If someone in your group dies at the park, the rest of their party gets free lifetime passes. Features classic YA themes of identity and peer pressure, figuring out right and wrong, combined with the universal themes of self-acceptance and personal growth.
Yeah, that does sound pretty dark, doesn't it?
It sure does. Man, oh man, page 238, Lifetime Passes. Oof. That may just be dark enough for me to be interested.
Yeah, it's pretty strongly reminiscent of the turn of the century teen comedy Dead Man on Campus.
Oh boy. Okay. Moving forward a little bit here. How about this? Page 242. Buddy McGill. The Mike Barron book. And Fernando Calvi on art. He's a TSA agent. He's a super party animal. And his name is Buddy McGill. He's on the trail of a ruthless terrorist and will not stop until justice is served. With a case of suds and some brand new duds. He will give you something you could feel. Buddy McGill. Rated R.
Starts Wednesday at a comic shop near you.
Oh, man.
Basically the adventures of Spuds MacKenzie, just without the licensing headaches.
Exactly. Out of Advent Comics on 242.
Yeah, next thing I have is on page 246, right there.
Yep, I figured as much.
Coming out from Aftershock, it's Chicken Devil #1. Written by Brian Buccellato, possibly colored by him too, since that's what he's known for, and art by Hayden Sherman. It's about a guy who co-owns a chain of Memphis chicken restaurants, probably called Chicken Devil, and because the mascot for the restaurant is a person in a satanic chicken costume. And he discovers that his partner owes a lot of money to the mob, and he discovers that his own family is in jeopardy because of this. So he decides he needs to take the law into his own hands. He's not equipped to take on the mob, but maybe Chicken Devil is. So he dons the the iconic costume of the personification of his restaurant and his business success, and he picks up a couple of firearms and he takes on the mob, thusly attired. And I'm a fan of the DIY vigilante stories, and especially when there's a costume of some kind involved. And this is a costume, all right. So yeah, this is going to be a riot. I'm going to give this one a try.
Oh my God, yeah. I like in my head, it's almost like if a major league mascot picked up a gun, like it's almost to that vein here. And yeah, it's just crazy enough that the premise works, and it's this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of T-shirts around here of the Philly Fanatic and the Flyers' new mascot Gritty dressed up like Vincent Jules of Pulp Fiction, the iconic holding up the handguns pose.
Yep.
And this comic kind of suggests what might happen if something like that came to life, or if like the San Diego Chicken or the baseball chicken started shooting up mobsters.
I'd be very worried if Mr. Met did, just because he already gives me shifty eyes to begin with. I think
that would be terrifying.
Yes. And this incentive cover, I think, just shows us even further just how insane this comic is going to be. Good times, good times. And how about Aftershock still giving out some very, very interesting stuff. Page 248, we got Cross to bear. Jack the Ripper was never caught because no one was looking for him in the Wild West. No one except the Order, an organization made up of descendants of crusaders sworn to eradicate the unnatural. The Order will stop at nothing to fulfill the pledge their forefathers made, even if it means crossing the ocean or a line or two.
So it's a Knight Templar versus Jack the Ripper in the old American West.
Excellent description.
It's a great premise.
Yes, it really is. And Marko Stajanovic and Sinisa Banovic, or Banovich, possibly, on page 248. Yeah, this just seems super, super interesting. I'm in.
Oh, and then on page 249, another Halloween-y thing, a one-shot Halloween anthology called After Dark, Aftershock After Dark, with stories written by Cullen Bunn, Jim Starlin, Joe Pruitt, and Frank Thierry. Art by Cliff Richards, Nicole Jelinek, Szymon Kudransky, and Joe Eisma.
Happy Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Aftershock, baby. They get the job done. And they have the hardcover collection of Dark Red Year 1 solicited on page 254. That's Tim Seeley's venture. First 10 issues of Dark Red, all in one package here for $40 before discounts. But Tim Seeley and Corin Howell together on this one for 10 issues, 256 pages, so pretty worth it. 254. Page 256.
That's right. This is the Ahoy Comics section.
Yep.
We're seeing the conclusion of the Second Coming miniseries, Only Begotten Son, by Mark Russell, Richard Pace, and Leonard Kirk. But more importantly, above that, it's a new volume of Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Blood. This time it's called Snifter of Death. And the first issue features, also by Mark Russell, and with art by Peter Snyberg, another installment of the Monster Serials thriller, which is horror stories featuring chocolate vampires and fruit-flavored Frankensteins and other crunchy creeps. It's serial mascots being treated as like 19th century style horror and suspense. And it's hilarious and it's wonderful, and it's just right the heck up the middle of my street. So
my god, yeah, that written for Murd might as well be the subtitle of this. Nicely done.
Yep, 100% in on that one, as I have been on all previous installments as soon as I caught wind of the fact that this was happening, because I think they'd done 2 or 3 of these before I learned that this was a series. So, but nice. I'm wise now, and I won't be caught with my proverbial pants down again.
Well, how about this to page 257? The Lords of Misery graphic novel, written and drawn by Eric Powell. This fills one of the gaps in The Goon. In the graphic novella, The Lords of Misery bridges the gap between Once Upon a Hard Time and A Ragged Return to Lonely Street. The standalone story reveals the adventure the Goon, along with several other mysterious figures, found himself entangled in after he departed the nameless town. That's on 257. The Goon has some steep comic geek speak history. As I remember picking that up for a book of the month a long time ago on the gang's recommendation. And yeah, Eric Powell's been doing the Goon for a long time. So much so that the book of the month stems all the way back to November 30th, 2005.
And I can remember meeting Eric Powell in person at San Diego 2006 with a bunch of the other CGS guys and not daring to say a word to him.
Oh, boy. He is a bit intimidating.
A little, yeah.
Well, nice to see that that at least the Goons stories are still running in one way or another. Okay, scrolling down a little bit further here. And wait a second. Yeah, how did I miss this? I'm scrolling down it, and I completely missed that was here. Tom Holland's Fright Night #1 on page 258.
Yeah, not the Spider-Man Tom Holland. It's
no, it's Fright Night though. The classic vampire tale returns with a series that picks up right after the events of the 1985 movie. Based on Holland's novel, which introduces Charlie Brewster, Amy Peterson, Evil Ed, Peter Vincent, and of course the undead monster Jerry Dandridge to horror fans. This one's written by James Kuhorik, with interior art by Neil Vokes and Cyrus Mascaria. It's fully authorized by Tom Holland himself. And this continues the story of Fright Night right after the movie. And Fright Night's one of my favorite 80s movies. And I'm actually a big fan of the remake too. The one with David Tennant that came out in the mid 2000s. Actually was not that bad. And I think it actually really captured the spirit of Fright Night while doing something a little bit different. But obviously this has nothing to do with that. This is just straight up from the original, and I'm all for that. Page 258. I can hear in my head, Fright Night.
Having never seen the movie all the way through, I can't hear anything in my head right now.
Yeah,
except maybe Eddie. I've seen that scene.
Oh, Evil Ed, yeah.
Oh, is that the character? Okay.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Page 268 and 269. Roberto Aguirre Sacasa's Archie horror line returns with the 9th issue of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Yep. Cover. Yeah. Art by Robert Hack. Not Francesco Francavilla, more's the pity. But at least we're finally getting another issue of that. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like more traditional Archie, on page 270, they are doing a Halloween spectacular this year.
Very good. I know Roberto Aguirre Sacasa is supposed to be continuing the saga of the Netflix series in comic book form at some point, so hopefully that will indeed be the case. I know he had at least one more season in him, but they canceled it before he could get that season. I mean, this is a good month for Avatar, so if you do want Night of the Living Dead Volume 1, it's right there for you on 278, since, again, Happy Halloween. Let's go with Out on page 284.
Yes, let's do that.
Indeed. Written by Rob Williams, illustrated by Will Conrad. In the waning days of World War II, with the Allies advancing, a desperate Nazi officer unearths an ancient force of evil that he hopes will turn the tide of battle. A vampire! Happy Halloween. To test the power of his secret weapon, he unleashes the monster on an unsuspecting group of Allied POWs. It's up to Nokana, a Comanche language expert, to communicate with the vampire to find out what it really wants. All right, I'm game. This is the type of vampire story I'm all for.
Yep, it's a weird war tale. It's written by Rob Williams, who's pretty good, and illustrated by Will Conrad.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great variant cover by Mike Deodato, too. Once again on page 284 for that one. And the very next page, 285, a reminder, issue 2 of J. Michael Straczynski's Telepaths is out, and issue 3 of Not All Robots, with art by said Mike Deodato. Page 288, Binge Books has The Blue Baron. Exploding from the pages of the Heroes Union, Binge Books proudly presents the sensational solo adventures of the unbeatable Blue Baron. Since 1776, the Blue Baron has battled alien invaders, superpower psychopaths, and megalomaniac mutants. His greatest challenge awaits him inside this groundbreaking extra-length standalone epic from Darren Henry, Ron Frenz, and Sal Buscema. featuring a jaw-dropping, jumping on point over 200 years in the making. That's on page 288.
Looks like fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Friends in Buscema. Can't go wrong. This page makes me sad. Page 289. The fact that they have to advertise somebody looking to buy Pokemon cards. I mean, sure, they paid the money for the ad, but this is previews. Come on.
Anyway.
Anywho. It's crazy how that market has exploded, too, over the past few months.
Yep.
All right, let's go with page 292, shall we? Found Footage, volumes 1 and 2. Marvin Rodriguez is the writer of this. It's a black and white, and it's horror, and it's on sale October 27th, just in time for a certain day that I've mentioned way too often on this episode. The highly anticipated sequel to the LeBlanc Award-winning graphic novel. At the end of the 90s, during an afternoon TV show, the programming is interrupted by the news of a suicide in front of Channel 4's TV station. The consequences of this event will have tragic projections that will change the lives of everyone in that studio. Found Footage 2 is based on a true story, and it comes in a VHS box. VHS box. Volume 1 is also solicited again. Love the premise, love the concept, love the packaging.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I particularly love the packaging.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Anything out of Black Mass this month? No, I don't think so. Everything's kind of mid-series at this point.
I kind of like the look of Eternal, although it says that that's back in stock, so it's not really new, but it's
Right.
it is kind of a Norse myth-flavored story from Ryan K. Lindsay, whom I know from his My Little Pony work, and Eric Zawadzki. A story of a group of isolated shield maidens, Valkyries basically, who protect their village against a tide of men hell-bent on seizing their land. So it's, at the very least, Viking adventure, and possibly some, Asgardian hijinks thrown in.
Nice. That's on 294. Okay. Go with page 302, Star Wars: A Vader Family Sithmas by Jeffrey Brown. I love these Vader and Son, kids' books that have been coming out for a while, and now here's a Christmas one. And that is super fun. Page 302.
Is B. Arthur in it?
I doubt it. Chances are Chewie's family isn't either.
Aw, lumpy.
Oh, wow. Look at these Sam the Eagle and Rizzo figures. That's super fun.
Mm. Yeah, I'm glad they're getting them back into production here and there.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Getting further down. How about page 309? Bat Pig When Pigs Fly by Rob Harrell. Introducing a supremely hilarious graphic novel featuring an unstoppable super swine hero who boldly fights for justice. What more can you ask for? Nice and kid-friendly, too.
Oh, certainly is that.
Mm-hmm. That's on page 309. Let's go with 316 Intertwined Ultimate Edition by Fabrice Sapolsky, and art by Fred Pham Chong, probably, and Veronica Lopez. A murder, a mysterious league of protectors operating in the shadows. A young kung fu student lost in the concrete jungle he never chose to live in. A Chinese girl who has to pose as a man to protect herself and her Jewish heritage. A secret LGBTQ plus love story. Welcome to the world of Intertwined. 1971, and for Wan Jin, life is about to become hell. He didn't ask to be a hero. He didn't ask to go to Chinatown. He only wanted to follow the way of Wing Chun, the kung fu style he masters brilliantly. but destiny had other plans for him. The first ever kung fu noir graphic novel. And yeah, that sounds fascinating.
There is a lot going on in that premise.
You darn tootin'. Page 316 for that one if you want to dive in deep. And something that has been mentioned many a time on Comic Geek Speak on page 318, the complete Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Deluxe Edition. You want it all, you can get it all.
$250 in a hardcover with slipcase, 568 pages of Don Rosa Ducks.
Delightful.
Also some Carl Barks material on the same page.
That's all on 318. Yeah, not a lot catching my eye at this particular moment, but we can go to Humanoids on page 330.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
Indeed.
The title is Swine. It's an OGN, 144 pages long, written by Tyrone Finch, art and cover by Morissette. It's about a man who has been imprisoned for a number of years for the murder of his wife, of which he protests he is innocent. He gets out and teams up with his sister-in-law to take down the force he believes is truly responsible for his wife's death, demonically possessed pigs. And there's a biblical basis for this, too, because there's a famous story in the Bible in which Jesus has to... he brings a legion of demons out of their human host, casts them into a herd of Gadarene swine, and sends them running down into the sea to be destroyed. And that same horde of demons is back and up to its old tricks, possessing pigs to kill innocent men's wives, apparently. Is this really what's going on, or is it all just part of an elaborate and communicable delusion on the part of the main character? You pick it, read it, and you decide for yourself.
Well, both Jerry Duggan and Gail Simone give it praise, and that is enough for me right there. And not to mention the artwork is beautifully drafted on the next few pages.
Gail Simone says, by page 20, it was already one of the best graphic novels I'd read in years. By the end, it was one of my favorites ever, of all time. For God's sake, just buy it.
Yeah, that says a lot right there. So I will be keeping Swine in mind. And then on 335, Kev Sherry and Helen Mullane. Painted. When a young girl's period is used to make her the target of school-wide humiliation, she and her friends fight back the only way they know how. Celine and Sophie are typical high school girls who have reached their limit when it comes to feeling patronized and unheard. Inspired by the Celtic face-painting warriors of Celine's ancestry, they set out to challenge the patriarchy. But when the ferocity of the real world comes crashing in, the girls' identities are shattered, but they're left struggling to pick up the pieces. It's an honest look at the social stigma surrounding women's menstruation. Those are words you do not hear very often in comic book previews, but fascinating nonetheless, and just fascinating enough to have my interest right there. Page 335.
On page 337, we have another return to the 80s salad days of Eclipse Comics with Chuck Dixon's Airboy, number 52. 48 pages for $10 of World War II era aviation adventure.
Wow. Also, 52!
Yes, I'm slacking, Ian.
It's all right. One of us picked up the pace. It's all good.
Yes.
Airboy was the series that James Robinson picked up not too long ago, right?
He kind of did like a meta deconstruction of it, yeah. But,
right.
But this is a continuation of like the straight adventures of Airboy.
Right, exactly.
As written also by Chuck Dixon back in the 80s.
Nice. Okay, over at Little Brown Books for Young Readers on page 342, The Deep and Dark Blue, written and drawn by Nikki Smith. After a terrible political coup usurps their noble house, Hawk and Grayson flee to stay alive and assume new identities, Hannah and Grace. Desperation and chance lead them to the Communion of Blue, an order of magical women who spin the threads of reality to their will. As the twins learn more about the Communion and themselves, they begin to hatch a plan to avenge their family and retake their royal home. While Hawk wants to return to his old life, Grace struggles to keep the threads of her new life from unraveling and realizes she wants to stay in the one place to allow her to finally live as a girl. Sounds like it's made to be a movie, just from the description alone. But yeah, that's a very interesting concept to me. I'm down. It's on 242. Sorry, 342. Christopher Sabella has a new book on page 348 out of Oni. Dirtbag Rapture, it's called.
Great title.
Indeed. Illustrated by Kendall Good. She's stoned. She's selfish. She's all that stands between us and the end of the world. Okay, good enough. Where do you go when you die? Kat, a stoner with a flexible moral code, can answer that. And the answer is not very far. Unfortunately for Kat's peace of mind, a near-death experience has left her with the ability to see and hear ghosts, as well as take them into her mindscape so she can bring them to locations of their choosing, essentially playing transporter to the deceased. But when Kat discovers she's the key to a demonic plan to screw up the whole world, she's forced to take an active role in the battle between good and evil. And she's not thrilled about it. I wouldn't be either, personally.
Yep, that makes three of us.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, cool spin on the whole I see dead people concept, and yeah, Christopher Sabella is known for good stuff, and 348 Dirtbag Rapture #1, and some artwork on the next page for any of you watching the YouTube version. 356 Rick and Morty, a Snuffles story. That makes me happy. Rick and Morty presents Snuffles Goes to War. Years ago, Morty's dog Snuffles left Earth to find a planet for his fellow canine kind. Now, at the height of their canine empire, war is coming. It's dog versus squirrel in a cosmic battle for the future of all good dogs.
Yes. The lawnmower dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Not my favorite episode, to be honest.
I'm a fan of it because my fur is pretty and white. Page 363. Rugrats, Hanukkah, Pop Classic Illustrated Storybook Hardcover. In time for the Rugrats' 30th anniversary, the beloved Hanukkah special is now a delightful picture book for readers of all ages. All right, yeah, if you have a kid, that is still one of my favorite holiday episodes of an animated series ever. And now here it is in storybook form. Buy it for your child. They will enjoy it. Quirk Books, page 363. That's all you need to hear.
Mm-hmm. What he said. Okay, kind of a random pick here at the bottom of page 367 from Red 5 Comics, Merlin and Hector, kind of a deconstructive take on the ancient Arthurian wizard as a young man, just a commonplace swineherd who's never even heard of magic, until his family farm is attacked by rampaging creatures, and the only one around who believes Merlin's story about this is a local thief named Hector. So it's an adventure that these two have that brings the legendary Merlin one step closer to discovering his magical destiny as one of the world's greatest wizards.
Well, sounds interesting enough to me.
Yep, from Red 5's Stonebot imprint.
I think I just like saying Stonebot.
Yep. Exactly why I said it, Stonebot. Not because that means anything to me, just because I like the words.
Yep.
Stonebot.
And one for you, Murd, on 369. The Christmas Pig. J.K. Rowling and Jim Reed. A heartwarming, page-turning adventure about one child's love for his most treasured thing and how far he will go to find it, by one of the world's greatest storytellers, J.K. Rowling. Jack loves his childhood toy, Der Pig. DP has always been there for him, though through good and bad, until one Christmas Eve, something terrible happens. DP is lost. But Christmas Eve is a night for miracles and lost causes, a night when all things can come to life, even toys.
I think I may wait for the animated special.
Yeah, that's bound to happen.
Yeah. And if I like that, I'll come back and revisit the source material.
Perfectly fair. A quick pass on 374, something called Stabbity Bunny. Richard Rivera and Dwayne Biddix. I'm not even going to read the solicitation. It's called Stabbity Bunny. What else do you need?
Yeah, I think that's the premise in a nutshell already.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there was a crossover one-shot between Stabbity Bunny and another indie comedy horror character called Gut Ghost that came out. And then Stabbity Bunny meets Gut Ghost was too irresistible a title. So I actually already do own one of Stabbity Bunny.
Okay. Well, there you go. 376, The Fun Girl graphic novel by Elizabeth Pitch. It's a Fun Girl was a hapless, hopeless mess of a woman crashing through life, leaving mayhem in her wake. Her oblivious antics infuriate her roommate/ex-girlfriend and threaten any opportunity for employment. But surely Fun Girl will figure it all out, eventually. It's a love letter to that chaotic friend with a heart of gold. Drawn by the cover more than anything else of this one. Just a fascinating image right there. And I assume the inside will look a lot like that. Page 381, The Winchester Mystery House by Joshua Werner and Dustin Irvin on the art. Thought to be one of the most... Oh, boy. And of course, my thing just went way ahead. So let me try to get back to where I was here. Here we are. Thought to be one of the most haunted places in the world, the Winchester Mystery House is much more than an architectural wonder. It's a labyrinth full of secrets. Come step inside and hear the house's whispers. Inspired by true events, the masterfully crafted horror tale written by Joshua Werner and beautifully illustrated by Dustin Irvin takes you into the non-stop construction of the house that spirits built and its brilliant and mysterious owner, Sarah Winchester. This is chapter 1 of that. Always been fascinated by the Winchester house. It's shown up in a bunch of shows over the years and stuff like that. So you want to get that in comic book form, nice and creepy Twilight Zone style, give it a go on page 381.
Says here it's saddle stitch format, whatever that means.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, it just sounds kind of old-timey and creepy, whatever it actually is.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, it's a 6.625 inches by 10.1875 inches.
That
is a little irregular.
Yes, indeed.
But then again, it's irregular subject matter, so perfect.
Made just the right way for it. Okay, and I'm getting dangerously close to the bottom here. We're back at tomorrow's. There was something else I wanted to mention. Here we are, page 401. It's got two things on it to mention. One, the Hawkman Companion softcover by Doug Zolska, art by Joe Kubert and a bunch of others. So if you want more on the history of Hawkman, this is absolutely made for you. Goes into everything, and boy, oh boy, is it a complicated history, as we've mentioned many a time here on Comic Geek Speak.
To be sure.
Yep, that tries to make it all. But then, further down on the page, American Comic Book Chronicles, the 1950s. New printing with text corrections, even better binding, and enhanced cover durability. So if you already own the first printing, you'll love this one even more. So this is a reprint, but if we haven't mentioned it before, this authors the volume on the 1950s era of Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley with a year-by-year account of the most significant publications, notable creators, and impactful trends, including the rise of the great EC, and Harvey Kurtzman's Mad, and much, much more. American Comic Book Chronicles, the 1950s, page 401. All right, anything else before I hit the manga section, sir?
Taking a quick look at the vault section, and no, I believe we are good to go.
Okay, you know what? I will mention there's a new Harbinger series for any of you Valiant fans on page 406. This is a issue 1 of a brand new Harbinger by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. Can you make the world better if you can't be better? A telepath with no memory, a city of superpowered teenagers suppressed, redemption, destruction, rebirth. A new era of Harbinger begins here. And Harbinger is one of the most renowned Valiant characters, and this looks like a brand spanking new one right here. New heroes, new villains, new costumes, the whole works. So if you want to see what that's going to be like, give it a go on page 406.
And I think I've changed my mind. I've got to mention on page 418, there's one new thing from Vault here. It's a new series from one of the masters of the strange, Cy Spurrier, and artist Nathan Gooden. It's called The Rush, and it's kind of a creepy supernatural tale set during the Alaskan gold rush of the late 19th century.
Excellent. Always happy to see Cy Spurrier's name somewhere.
It's the man who brought us 6-Gun Gorilla.
Love that title. All right, pass. Hey, guess what? There's an ad for Mob Psycho, and we move forward. There we go.
Just with his dead eyes.
All right, what have you? Manga section. Find me a volume 1 worth mentioning. Let's see.
Actually, if we could dare to go back past Mob Psycho the other direction.
Sure.
There's something that I don't think is solicited anywhere else, but on page 426, and it's interesting. It's Tezuka. It's a collection of short stories of his, originally published between 1968 and 1973. It's called Clockwork Apple. And there's just a collection of little plot summaries here. When a Nazi lieutenant is sentenced to death for war crimes, he expects to escape with his life, but hubris is his downfall. A female android marries for love, but is soon lost, and she must deal with the consequences. On a dark and lonely road, a cabbie picks up a shady man who threatens him, but little does his passenger know the cabbie is not as he seems. American school kids learn the cruelty of war. And it's a list of little premises like that. It's a collection of short stories. Looks like 248 pages worth in soft cover, $15.95. And yeah, it's a collection of some of his shorter in length and lesser known works from who is sometimes known as the Japanese god of comics.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So yeah, I think I'll have to give that a try.
Definitely. And this. It's under the digital manga section, so I'm not entirely sure if this actually... Oh, no, there we go. It does say it will have a soft cover. Okay, good. Platinum Manga is the publisher on this. So, yes, there will both be a digital cover and a soft cover edition of this. So that's on page 426, and good catch, Murd.
It's not that often something catches my eye in the manga section, but that one I felt shouldn't be overlooked.
Well, I'll head over to 433 and burn the witch. The story and art by Tite Kubo.
Built a bridge out of her.
Oh man. Behind the world you think you know lies a land of magic and fairy tales, but reverse London isn't the pretty picture that's painted in children's books. Fairy tales have teeth, and the dedicated agents of Wingbind are the only thing standing between you and the real story. It's a slipcase paperback edition of a modern fantasy tale set in the wider world of Bleach by Bleach author Tite Kubo.
That's interesting.
Yeah, was not expecting that. But okay, yeah. I mean, Bleach ran for many a year, and is also one of the manga and anime that you can literally like track the moment where its genre shifted. Because it started out as a pretty much a straight horror anime and manga. And then I guess it wasn't selling well enough, and they're like, all right, we'll make a Dragon Ball Z. And then they basically just like made it much more of, like a expanded, almost superhero-esque horror tale. And it was just never quite the same for me personally after that. But I know others might have differing opinions. But yeah, the Japanese manga world works very differently. It's all dependent on whatever surveys come in as to whether or not a series is going to continue. And if it doesn't get enough surveys and response, that's when they either try to pivot to save it or it gets canceled. And they pivoted and it worked and it sold gangbusters.
Yeah, one of my grad school chums from the mid-2000s was a big fan of Bleach, and he described it as pretty much just superheroes.
Yes.
So, and this was 2005, so I guess that genre pivot point must have happened by then.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. It's like I'd say maybe the first like 4 volumes are something entirely different. Then after that, they're like, superheroes, eh! Okay. This has me on page 435. The Creative Gene by the one and only Hideo Kojima. Ever since he was a child, Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding creator Hideo Kojima was a voracious consumer of movies, music, and books. They ignited his passion for stories and storytelling, and the results can be seen as groundbreaking, iconic video games. Now the head of independent studio Kojima Productions, Kojima's enthusiasm for entertainment media has never waned. This collection of essays explores some of the inspirations behind one of the titans of the video game industry and offers an exclusive insight into one of the brightest minds in pop culture. This is the first book from Hideo Kojima that's been published in English. And it's coming out of Viz. So not a manga here. This is just a straight up collection of essays, but had to be mentioned just because it's Hideo Kojima and he's one of the best video game creators of our time in general. So good stuff.
Wow. Certainly worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm. Metal Gear series stands up. And then on 437.
Yes.
The comic misadventures of Chewie, Captain Marvel's pet. Marvel Meow. I love it. Join Chewie as she wreaks havoc on the lives of Marvel's most popular characters. Gain a new perspective on beloved favorites such as Spider-Man and Iron Man. I mean, we'll see. Formidable villains including Thanos and Galactus, and anti-heroes like Deadpool, as they all become the plaything of this capricious cat creature. Oh, man.
A print collection of comic strips originally sent out over Marvel's Instagram account. It's interesting.
Yeah, that you don't hear those words very often either.
What, Marvel's Instagram account?
Just in general, something that was sent out via an Instagram, then being collected, by a company is not something that you see every day. But they're Marvel, so they get to do it.
And I'm glad that they are.
Indeed. Yep. That's on page 437 out of Viz. And I'm going to aim for one more. And if I can't find that one more, I will call it a day. But let's see. Here we are. Okay. They named it for me, page 442 out of Yen Press. New York, Volume 1. While hiding that he's gay, New York police officer Kane goes out in Manhattan every night looking for a one-night stand. When he meets his ideal man, Mel, he finds the love of his life, an ambitious work which depicts love and humanism with gay themes. All right, that's simple enough. And hey, New York.
It's a wonderful yowie.
Boy, oh boy. And with that, I believe we have a bolt shot. No random toys for you to mention this month, right?
Au contraire.
Uh-oh.
There is, I think there are 2 pages I have marked here.
Okay.
On page 45, one can actually purchase a Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka Mego doll.
Oh my God.
And since there have been comparisons drawn, physically between myself and Mr. Wilder.
What?
Oh yes, it's true. It's true. Somebody actually digitized my face onto like a still image taken from the movie.
Amazing.
And it is a little bit uncanny. As a man whom I respect as much as resemble, I think I would like to have a representation of Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, and I can for $16.99 from the Mego manufacturer. And on that same page, you've got Michael J. Fox as Teen Wolf, Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed from the first Rocky movie, and on the facing page, there's the Rocketeer and Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, although the copy doesn't mention him by name, which is a little suspect.
That is a bit weird.
So, yeah, a couple of interesting Migos there. And I wanted to mention on page 52 of the merchandise section, for the hardcore Tolkien fan, you've got a lovely polystone 1/6 scale statuette of, I guess, of Bilbo, with Ian Holm, I think, as Bilbo Baggins, sitting at his roll top writing his memoirs. Or you can even go the whole hog and spend like $1,300 for that same item inside of an approximation of his home at Bag's End.
Wow. Oh my God. That is stunning. Whew. Well, I don't have that type of money anyway.
You and me neither. But it is still impressive detail. And I'm sure there's some Hobbit heads out there who will have to have that.
Well, and since we're in the toy section, I'll mention one last thing. They're making a pop vinyl of specifically Batman #1 comic cover pop vinyl. So basically the way Batman looked on that first cover with him and Robin on Batman #1, and it looks pretty damn good. And
the shape of the cowl.
Yes, indeed, and the shade, the shading, and the bat emblem and all that. It just it works nicely, and he's got his eyebrows. And right on top of that, Series 7 of the Pop Pokemon series. We got Charizard, we got Pikachu, we got Horseel, and there's a metallic Charmander for reasons. And why not?
No. Has there been a series of these Pokemon Pops that hasn't included Pikachu yet, I wonder?
The answer is probably no. Because if you're going to sell anything that's Pokemon related, it's probably going to have a Pikachu.
Me.
Oh my God. And look at his son, 55. Damn it. Damn me. Look at this Hulk. Not only does he have guns, but he's got bunny slippers.
Yeah, it says there it's the David and Keown Hulk.
Yes. Man, oh man. I'm not buying any more Pops, damn it. Stop it.
They just keep making them, though. And
I know.
They keep coming up with very good ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm impressed by the Pan Am Stewardess Pops that they've put out in this catalog.
Oh my God. All right. And on that note,
let's just pop out of this episode altogether.
You've got it, sir. You've got it. Well, once again, as a reminder to all of you out there, we're sponsored by you. That's right, you, the listeners, over at patreon.com/comicgeekspeak. You guys do a very excellent job of supporting the show, and without your help, there would be no show. So we thank you so much for that continued support. Amen to that. And now, once again, playing the role of Shane is none other than Murd. So, Murd, over to you.
If you'd like to send us an email to let us know how we're doing with the podcast, you can send it to comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd rather leave a voicemail, you can call 267-702-6642. You can like us on Facebook, or you can join our Comic Geek Speak supergroup on Facebook, where you can talk back about the various episodes of the show and engage in different dialogues with your fellow CGS listeners on a variety of comic book topics. You can also go to thecomicforums.vanilla vanillacommunity.com to our original online forum and do exactly the same thing there. You can also go to Twitter and like us and follow us. Our handle is @ComicGeekSpeak there. You can go to youtube.com/ComicGeekSpeak to watch video approximations of these episodes, see our smiling faces and other visual delights, especially useful for these previews episodes. Ian puts a lot of work into getting those visuals up on screen, so take him up on it. You'll be glad you did. We'd like to give special thanks once again to everyone who has donated monetarily to the show, whether by Patreon or otherwise. We truly appreciate it, and the show would not be what it is today without your help. And as always, we're uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
Both work in the shirt game.
Right?
Oh, man.